Dear all, a very warm welcome to the Havels Present Spotlight series organized by Realty Plus Masterclass. Friends, Spotlight is a unique webinar series which explores the dynamics of lighting, featuring nationally and internationally acclaimed consultants, designers, and experts who share their knowledge and expertise on the future trends in the world of design, technology, and lighting. I'm Sapna Srivastava, editor Realty Plus magazine, and let's begin with a brief introduction of Realty Plus.
Some people are born to show the world which path to choose in a crisis. Some brands are born to do the same. And during the times of challenge, the stalwarts of Indian real estate industry have chosen to do just that by showing others the way to finding opportunities even amidst a crisis. By showing the world how to go about delivering on promises even amidst adversity. Success doesn't just happen, it happens by design, by pushing the boundaries, by raising the bar. It's days of creating a vision and nights of bringing it to life. Knowing that pictures are worth 1,000 words and every word makes a difference. It's doing the research, trusting your instinct and finishing what you started. For the past 17 years, Realty Plus has been turning obstacles into opportunities, keeping the industry informed on the latest developments. Innovating to inspire debate and discussion. Bringing forth the perspectives of industry leaders. Honoring hard work and achievement. Keeping the industry connected. This is what we are built on. This is what we are building. We are Realty Plus, and we lead the way.
So this was a brief snippet of Realty Plus products. To know more about us, do get in touch with Ms. Tripti Kedia, publisher and business head Realty Plus. Let me also introduce Mr. Partha Karmakar, business head for professional lighting at Havels Grove. Mr. Karmakar is a passionate lighting professional with overall experience of more than 2 decades in lighting industry and hands-on experience on lighting design, specification, sales, marketing, product management, and managing business verticals. He's a strong techno-commercial professional and has been involved in some of the very prestigious installations across the country and abroad. Mr. Karmakar, a very warm welcome to you. And as I mentioned, this is a platform where we have Indian and international experts to share their knowledge about design, technology, lighting. So, if you can give us a little more brief about this initiative by Havells.
Yeah, very good morning to all of you. And first of all, thanks for organizing this great platform. So, before we start the event, I would like to share something about Spotlight. This has been a very unique initiative made by leadership team here at Havels for only professional lighting, where we want to bring in outside in thought exactly how the eminent personalities in the building industry and the ecosystem, the various stakeholders, are conceptualizing lighting when they are looking at a new project. So, what is their thought? What comes into their mind before they actually think of lighting? So that's a absolutely outside in thought for us to learn from them. And also, this also helps us in building the new product plans as well as our technology roadmap, and also what is the language. As professionals we have to raise the floor level, and that's what it actually is, a very unique platform which is helping us a lot. We have done a couple of such episodes which have been really very useful, and to the entire team internally as well as externally, we are also able to bring in this uh, this interaction with this community. So we are really very much thankful for all the speakers who have till now come on this platform. And today, really, from the bottom of my heart, I'm really thankful to Mr. Swaminand Das as well.
That's right, and that's a pretty good initiative. Listening to to the market, what the market needs, what the specifiers are looking for, and then designing, and then probably bringing in market those kind of solutions what actually are required on the ground. So as you mentioned, architect Swaviman Das, our speaker of the day. So let's bring on stage the star of the day. Let me welcome architect Swaviman Das, design director India Space Metrics. A brief introduction of our speaker. Architect Swaviman Das is a seasoned design professional and a specialist in industrial design. Apart from creating immensely versatile and innovative contextual designs, Swaviman, with over 15 years of experience, is adept at inducing sustainability factor, fun quotient, and a wow element in humanized workspace. Architect Das has consistently led dynamic design teams and completed unique projects for the corporate giants such as Airbnb, Amex, Nestle, BCG, Ericsson, Amazon, Hilton, to name just a few. Architect Das, a very warm welcome to you, and let me hand it over to you now.
Thank you, Sapna, and thanks, Partha, for this platform, and thanks for welcoming me. Just as a brief introduction, I have got an architectural background. Post architecture, I have delved into industrial design and product design as my career. After that, been given some brief stint in Philips Innovation Lab, been working a bit briefly with Honda. Post that, a bit of retail designing as well in my portfolio, and then corporate design and workplace design has been my forte since about 15 years been in this industry. Now, being a director at Space Metrics, I basically work for all design verticals across various studios. I love exploring, love to travel, interact. I love to interact in such platforms and forums where I get to learn as well. Um, and I would say thank you for welcoming me here. Sapna, shall I project my screen?
Yes, please.
just do that. So if you allow me, I can start to showcase something which recently we have done, and I'm proud about it. Won't hesitate to say that. Hope the screen is quite visible, and
Yes.
hope I'm
Can we have
audible.
it full screen?
Yes, yeah, great. So basically, the subject being infusion of technology in design is something which we had started, and so my interest is really into technology as well and design, which runs parallel. So the subject is, how does really aesthetics and tech or technology intersect, or how does it merge when it comes to planning or designing? So that's the question here. And how is the synergy between design and technology? Very briefly, just to give it a kickstart, I would like to say, earlier, technology was considered to be quite non-design, and it was more mechanical, or maybe more tech, or maybe softwares, or maybe into hardware, whereas design was core design. So that was gone are those days. And today, when it comes to technology and design, they run parallelly. They merge into each other, and that's where creativity is sprouted up. So when I talk about both, and I talk about creativity coming in, if I may start it this way, to be very frank, creativity is something which is thinking up new things, whereas innovation, when it comes to innovation, that is something which, when you make things happen in reality, and that is where design and technology actually merge. So I would like to start it this way. Um, if you can see, I'll just quickly cover in sequence couple of these topics where I'm talking about genesis of Beta Lab. Beta Lab is a product for me, and how is that an innovative product? We'll go through that. We'll take you through a spatial journey, talk about how technologies merged into it, a bit about sustainability, wellness as well, and yeah, and we can get onto the Q&A. So broadly talking about Beta Lab, basically our aim was to create a real-time workshop for, or maybe like an innovation hub for designers or architects coming in, or project managers, engineers, and tech experts all coming together. So this is just not a product, so to say. This is a true amalgamation of art, science, and architecture coming together. Plus, I would say a plethora of future forward technology which is integrated into this. So it's a arena, it's a workplace which is full of dynamic teams of creative thinkers, full of people who are passionate, and who have got who are more, innovative, and who work towards innovation. So that's how the start was. So basically, this is where we actually test out all technology. We experiment with different work cultures, different work styles, constantly learn, evolve, and grow. And that's what we have created, and we call it a beta lab. I'll just take you through why is it a beta lab. So this is how we started. This is just a discovery phase where we've done a lot of surveys. So the idea was to keep everyone together while creating in the same journey. So it's basically the end users who would be here, which I have already mentioned. So we did a lot of workshop surveys. We did, to understand what is, for example, linear form of working. What is a coaxial or maybe a multi-axial kind of a working? Working in silos versus, cross-disciplinary, or doing cross collaborations. There were a lot of things which came into picture when we did a lot of survey like this, where things like inadequacy of provisions to facilitate clients, for example. So that's something which really came up, or interactions or workshop with clients. So lack of true collaboration spaces, inadequacy in terms of, let's say, true ergonomics, or sound, acoustics, noise levels, distractions. So these are various things which came up when we spoke to the end users. And on the right side, as you can see, this is like about few parameters which we plotted it and mapped it when it came to what are the actual priorities when it comes to posture, privacy, presence, or well-being, holistic well-being, or choices to work, or multitude of spaces. So broadly, these were the reflections when it came to our workshops with the end users. That gives a lot of insights. The issues and priorities, as you can see, came up. These discovery phase is really important. As Partha, I agree to you while you were saying, what is the first thought when it comes to lighting, for example? So, what is that first thought when it comes to designing anything? I mean, A, B, C, or X, Y, Z is something which is really important, which at times in today's world, people directly jump onto a output or a product. So, hence, I thought to just to project and show what was the process when it came to designing such an arena. So, the priorities were fostering community sense, for example, focused attention, how to imbibe or embed innovation into a true workspace. What are the new ways of working? Are people getting more stagnant and traditional in terms of work style? How do we bring in the future tech into the real action? So these are a few things which caught attention, and that's how we started, sketching out the real arena. So this is a very sketchy form of the whole, kind of isometric, as you can see, where all those issues which were kind of mapped, we tried to integrate technology into it, space planning into it, and we tried to solve it together. So this is the crossroads. This is where both technology and planning and designing merged. So as you can see, in terms of planning, there is a FOH area, BOH area, which is front of house and back of house kind of areas. We had a lot of issues also in terms of people coming back to work after the pandemic. So how do we create a catchy or maybe attractive space where people feel conducive? The space itself is conducive. People should feel safe and comfortable enough to come back to work. So that's something which was also an intent. So we've created a lot of interactive zones which is a real hotspot there where the clients coming in, there's a lot of buzz there. You can see a lot of like digital and physical coming together in terms of material library, which was created across a lot of touchdown areas, semi-focused zones where, people, they are basically teaming up areas where there are these wireless projections which are done where people can team up and work together. Basically, there are discussion zones as well. There's some informal work zones on towards the end side, as you can see, which is absolutely casual. There's something which is called a focus zone, and there's at the end, if you can see, that is hyper focus zone. So let's say you want to write an article, but generally you don't get such spaces or an alcove where you can think. But can we create such spaces where people would really love to work? So moving next, as you can see, the whole idea was to create an arena which is full of energy. Every day we reiterate, we recraft, we re-engineer things being designers and architects. So why think of something which is already frozen and becomes the alpha? Rather, when we keep exploring and experimenting, that's how we keep evolving. So we are always in a beta mode. So we call it a beta lab, and we keep evolving and learning with time, with changing times. Next slide, as you can see, it talks about the parameters for workplace has slightly shifted. Earlier, the value drivers were, let's say, efficiency or productivity or maximal output, maximal number of hours, density and number of meeting rooms, number of workstations, so all of those. But now the world is shifting. There's a diametric shift. As you can see, the new value drivers now is more about before designing, we start thinking of the end user. What's their work culture? What's the innovation that we can bring into picture? But that becomes the wow element. How do we bring in wellness? Wellness has taken a center stage today, I must say. It is holistic wellness when it comes to physical and mental well-being. Technology, as I said, becomes the nerve of the whole place, which ties it all together. micro environments which are then made for purpose. So it's no more like a herd of workstations, 500 workstations and meeting rooms where people just work. There are different multitude of spaces and where people get choices. How to enhance the social quotient. So ultimately, it's a testing ground for furnitures, materials, products, operating modes, research, and even work culture. So all of it together. Moving forward, I'll just play a quick video for all of you, which shows the intent and the whole space as an output.
Welcome to Beta Lab. Come. Explore the psychology of how people work and what makes them choose their own space. To create, communicate, or collaborate. Experiment. Furniture that finds new testing grounds. Transforming workspaces into a coffee shop, a library, or a private den. Examine social behavior and interaction levels in these settings. Test what noise levels work for your teams and whether they are better off in private offices or open floor plans or material library where the digital meets the tactile to enable informed choices. Path-breaking technology that powers meeting rooms, remembers your lighting and air conditioning preferences, and even the way you like your coffee. Evolve. We'll show you how. Work settings do impact social behavior and eventually culture. Microenvironments at a workplace encourage innovation, productivity, or concentration. Office design accelerates business transformation. However, one size doesn't fit all. You are unique. Your workplace needs to understand, appreciate, and enhance that uniqueness. Sustainable design solutions, great work culture, highly engaged workforce, business transformation. Solve it all. Beta Lab is the place to explore, experiment, evolve.
So yeah, all in all, that was a very short video which shows the output overall, and that was the space, ultimately a magical space for architects and designers, project managers all sitting together, tech experts coming together and creating and working out of the same space. Hope the video and audio was audible and visible. That's what I would like to ask before moving on.
Yes, that was clear.
Thank you. I'll just take you to again, as we are talking about technology, while designing, we do use a lot of technology as well. So that's how we've created like a 360-degree environment, which I'll take you a quick 5 minutes walk of the whole space, which you saw in the video. So basically a plaza entrance and a drop-off is what I'm talking about here, which is like an extended cafe, which is outdoorsy as well. A lot of landscaped, kind of sculptural garden which has been created, which has got a lily pond. So it has got a sensorial factor also when it comes to design. As you can see, when we move forward, there are spaces like, like when I was talking about a plaza entry, there are sculptural garden. Apart from that, you'll also see an amalgamation of touchless Bluetooth access, as you can see when talking about the entry in that large cotton steel kind of entrance foyer, as you can see. When I enter the space, there's a large check-in spot where you've got air quality index, which is also kind of as a dashboard shown here. There's a smart visitor management system. There's a lot of respiratory environment which is created, which is self-respiring in itself, because there's a lot of high oxygen biophilia which is induced here. Quite sculptural. People even call it like a cafe. It becomes at times deceptive. Doesn't look like a workspace. That's a fun fact about it. On the right side, as you can see, it's a warm, welcoming kind of a space for any visitor to come in. There is an interactive screen, as you can see, which is right at the coffee bar, where anyone can just do a multi-touch overlay. It is quite interactive with the visitors as well. People can work out of here. It is Wi-Fi enabled as well, and then you can see what is the new innovation that Beta Lab is coming up, new or different projects which are there, and the new events which is for the day probably or coming next. You can see a lot of architectural framery which is done inspired from urban scape, floating masses. There's a skywalk connecting between the boardroom which is there, which is just behind the curated artifacts, as you can see. So there's a skywalk which conjoins the boardroom there. A lot of floating masses, a lot of framery and cantilevered kind of visitor platforms, as you can see. Moving forward, I'll show you some bit of tech here, where just at entry you can see there's the individual digital lockers which are operable by individuals. That's again one more new tech which is introduced there, which has got biometric for each and every individuals right there at the entry point. There's a dashboard which basically flashes the hot pockets or cold pockets in terms of HVAC. It also showcases lighting levels. It showcases what's the humidity level. It showcases what's the overall density of the workspace. It talks about what's the new event coming up at the cafe probably. So this is one technology which is again integrated with anyone coming in into their smart app, where everyone can kind of link into that. A lot of spaces like meeting rooms, as you can see, every meeting room has been kind of nomenclated. Like these are bookable rooms, as you can see, which is visible here, and every room has been kind of nomenclated by the name of innovators from history. So this is like Wright brothers. There's a QR code inside the room itself, where if I tap in, I can understand what was the innovation for, or what were the inventive products which what's the whole room all about. As you can see, some of the technology here, there's a light. If you can see, those are not conventional lights. Basically, they are called Li-Fi. And if you have Li-Fi, when the lights are on, the sensors are, it depends. If you enter the room, the lights are on, and those lights itself through a booster emits Wi-Fi. When the lights are off, you can't use the internet. So that's the technology which we have used here. There's Nano Lighting, which is again interactive by Philips, which we have kind of used here on the right side. Again, a lot of inventive and innovation approaches which have been taken. There's a silent pocket towards this end, which is basically the library area. I'll quickly move on to. So on the right side, as you can see on the vantage point, there's this area which we have created, and you will see a lot of technology here as well. So if you can see, these are all of the floor, basically underfloor air distribution. So the whole air con of the arena is through these under deck air distribution which is happening. It's not the conventional form of aircon. There's a phygital library kind of a thing which is all created here. So every material, any client coming in making a mood board, it becomes far more interactive, and people do a lot of interactions here. This thing, as you can see here, is basically a gesture controlled height adjustable table. So through your gestures, it can be controlled, and you can adjust it to conducive heights and showcase your material boards with clients. There's an interactive digital whiteboard here. So whatever I sketch here, probably a plan or a layout, or maybe I scribble something, I can right away from the screen, I can mail it or shoot it out for a print. Or if I want to just send it across, I can do it through or maybe post it. So various technologies used like that. This is basically a town hall space which is full of energy and buzz space. As you can see, this has got which has got wireless sound systems, a lot of projections happening here, movie screening, music and jamming sessions, You can see customized microphones here, which you can just throw it across and anyone from the audience can hold it and use it. So a lot of technology being used there as well. If you can see on the top level here, so why always use a workstation? Why do you need to sit upright and work? So people also float here and read a book or maybe use their iPad. So that's what. How do we break free from conventional stuff? You can see a kind of a skylight here, which brings in filters in natural light. But in reality, it is a product, as you can see. It's called a skylight, but it is actually simulated as per the climate and gives a shadow formation on light, reflectivity in the workspace. There's a lot of discussion spaces around. I'll show you a very interesting room as well, which is towards the end, which I was calling it the hyper focus room. So let's say this is how you focus inside a super acoustical room where the noise can't flow out, and that is how through forms and materials it has been kind of designed. This whole space gives you ample acoustics, and if you want to write a poetry or maybe an article or you want to get into a webinar, this is the absolute room where one must occupy. Quickly moving on, couple of quick pointers which I'll just showcase. That's called a beta box, where the furnitures are being experimented. Any new furniture coming into market are kind of evaluated by designers here, and that's the room which keeps on changing. So it's a very dynamic room. This is a skywalk which I was talking about, which takes you towards the boardroom space, which is towards the end. The boardroom has got a interactive screen which you can see. So if there is something which I'm discussing, or maybe a chart, or maybe numericals, or maybe a strategy plan, so I can write over it, scribble over it, and I can take a snapshot and just mail it right from the screen itself. Maximum of writable surface on the table. People scribble while talking, make notes. So that's how this industry works. There are solo pockets like this, as you can see, which is basically like a deck, which is jutting out like a Titanic deck where people are working solo right there. So I'll quickly move on to the ground floor, where we have got lighting management system, which is again climate controlled, and which has got the lighting color temperature also changes depending on the preset modes of the meeting, or also in terms of what's the lighting levels outside, depending on the environment. These are again desk booking systems, where if you see it has got inbuilt lighting for the table, but it has got a sensor. So if I want to block this table, as you can see, it is glowing red. So that means I can't disturb these people. So that's how technology is getting advanced. There are these wireless charging right at where you work. There are these wireless collaboration, where I can just project any, or maybe throw anything from my screen, and that can be projected onto these adjustable screens. Moving on, I've got to show you some of these phone booths which are created. A lot of tech involved there. This is a smart cafe. So we are calling it a smart cafe and a pantry, where, the pantry management itself. So where if I order something from my desk, so that will be ready by the time I kind of denote. So if I say by 11:30, I want a coffee and sandwich, that would be already preset and ready here. There is, I'll talk about the small thing, which is just looks like a hydration point, but it is Bluetooth enabled. So the amount of hydration, or how much, so it is connected to your smart app. It actually showcases, okay, X amount of water to be consumed by, let's say, Sapna or Parth. But today you have consumed so and so. So that is how you track, and that is how wellness also comes into picture. There is also auto sterilization within the this hydration point. Not getting into details, there is waste segregation and lot many things happening within the smart cafe. So overall, I wanted to talk about this, how we are integrating design into and technology merging together. Just quickly, we'll talk about how technology in three layers and how we envisage technology. See, it's basically, as you can see, the layer one. where I was talking about lighting levels. So maybe I'm a person who would like to have a warm lighting done, and I want to set the ambience accordingly. Maybe the second set of people coming into the meeting rooms, they want a different white light or maybe a cooler light. So that's what the preset lighting does. Comfort levels in terms of aircon, security control, visitor management, smart visitor management, navigation within a workspace or maybe any other space that we design, meeting rooms, engagement sessions, feedbacks, everything, and cafe, like a smart cafe, as I just mentioned. So, example, from right, navigation right from the parking. So, any visitor coming in, if let's say you want to come in to Beta Lab tomorrow, and I have already given you the link through GPS, it'll already, you can track what parking slot is already assigned to you from the parking level, how you can be navigated to the reception, where you'll be escorted to, let's say, a meeting space. The meeting space, if you have already been here, the reception itself, welcomes you. It would take to your designated meeting space. If you have already been to that space, the meeting room itself remembers the preset or your choices of coffee, or maybe the lighting level, and it already does that for you when you are in that meeting room. Level 2 is basically layer 2, which is the framework, which is basically a lot of analytics happens. There's a lot of data processing which happens. The device are being managed, and this whole package is being then kind of integrated together. And at the end, as you can see, interface, which is basically user and app, which is then kind of connected to all your smartphones and different devices. So that is what how we are kind of envisaging the whole workplace world to be now, where technology becomes an integral part of design. This is just an output, as you can see. This is your, let's say, your phone, which showcases various data or maybe live data about your workspace, maybe density, maybe events, maybe you can order your coffee from here right away, and all of it through just one app. It shows the hygiene level, it shows humidity, it shows air quality. So all of it you can track through just one app, and we have developed that at, and we are using that as well. In terms of wellness and sustainability, which has actually taken the center stage today, I was talking about. So basically, our goals were quite set, and we were very clear about what we wanted to do for us create when we wanted to create such a space. So that's basically, which was already in our problem statement, and we wanted to cover that through a solution. In Aura survey and analysis, this had been an issue of how do we bring in wellness into picture. So we wanted to be, wellness champs in terms of when it comes to workplace industry, and it is not as easy as just to procure products and maybe some air filters and using it. But we actually, adapted many modes and mechanisms which we brought into practice. So that is what, that's how a lot of research goes into it when it comes to wellness as well. For example, if I talk about hydration levels, as I was saying, I can every glass would be auto sterilized. I can actually see, I can actually see what's the, if I'm well saturated or hydrated in terms of what, because my app would be connected to the hydration point right there. There's waste segregation, which comes into picture, smart lighting management, which is already into kind of integrated. Healthy, nutritive food week is something. So it's just not about the devices, but how do you bring in nutritive food week into the program? So into the design itself is something which we are encouraging. There's a dashboard which is an internal portal where people are registered, and so how many miles per day are you walking, and that's how the boards are created. And if you, let's say, cross 5 kilometers per day, and maybe you show your app and you say that 5,000 steps per day, you get a nutrition bar at the cafe. So this kind of pushes people to get into, adapt wellness while at work as well, is what really works today and encourages people rather than just having few air filters and stuff like that. a lot of when it comes to wellness, it is also holistic in terms of mental wellness, well-being, and physical well-being. So spaces, if has it has its own mild music versus a metal music in a jukebox room, for example, are quite stimulating for different people to, they have different choices. Or maybe the way I work, probably you would be wanting a space which is heavy on music and you would want to work there. When you enter a space which is quite invigorating, you get a fragrance. So there are different fragrances, and in terms of tech, devices which are installed when you enter versus a fragrance at the coffee bar would be very different to each other. So different sensorial aspects are also coming into picture when it comes to wellness. Overall, I have covered most of it in terms of design. Won't take much time. Just in one slide, I'm just talking about all of that together. When we did a post survey of end users, we got a great place to work certified workplace, which raised the bar. This the whole arena which I'm talking about, this architectural interior project has won international property awards. A lot of clients. So basically, we also encourage clients to come into our space, test it out, work out of different corners, work out of. We encourage them, we interact with them. They would love. Clients even love to work here for a week's time and give their feedback. So a lot of that we encourage because everyone together, experimenting and exploring, giving us feedback. That's how we evolve. A lot of articles and publishing are already there about it. So most of it. And so ultimately, I would like to summarize this whole thing and would like to end this topic saying that now in today's world, design and technology are not divergent, rather they have become convergent, and they converge at every crossroads and meet and merge together to create. That's how creativity blooms up. So yeah, they both technology and design coexist in this world. Thank you. Would love to hear from you, and would like to understand from you, or maybe if anyone has got questions, I'm up for it.
Fantastic, magical space, user-friendly technology, functional technology, app-enabled wellness, smart lighting management, which is environment sensitive. Partha, what do you have to say after looking at this presentation? You're on mute.
I think it is simply mesmerizing because I would like to share that I personally have been able to visit the space, and it had been always, as I could hear from architect Swaviman Das, that it is not a milestone, it is ever exploring. It is, that's the feeling I get. That's the experience I get whenever I have been to this office, because every time you find that is ever exploring in terms of technology, in terms of smartness and user experience. So these are really, the epitome of real experience of things which they have been able to do. It has been always very refreshing whenever I have been to the office, and I really appreciate and wish they continuously, raise the bar to next level by all these new experiments in the beta lab. It's an amazing concept of everlastingly remaining in beta lab, because that keeps you always on, rather than calling that we have moved to alpha. Yeah. So that's a very, very, very powerful way of continuously encouraging people to be in that zone, and really appreciate a lot about it. And we want to be part of that wherever it is possible, so that we catch up and match up to your expectation. So yeah, thank you so much.
Always welcome.
Very interesting points highlighted by Architect Das. And as Architect Das said, technology and design and life, the people lives are now converging at every point. Like he demonstrated the various aspects, how you use technology for, pre-booking your meeting room lights, everything is automated, functions are automated, wellness is also now on your apps, on your tech platforms. Architect Das, one question is, a lot of the biggest challenge probably would be that technology changes fast, and the project gestation time could be from a year to 2 year to even 3 years. So, how do designers keep up with the technology? Is that a challenge?
So, as I was just mentioning, yes, with the overall business scenario and the industry and how people work, that keeps changing. We can't say that something which we have created is constant or becomes an alpha, and that's what where it ends. As you rightly said, with time, with no time, like it's like you buy a phone and within a year or so you get to see a next level phone which you then kind of which becomes coveted or maybe becomes your desire, or you want to go to the next level. um, Being designers, we always have to upgrade ourselves, and we have to match it and be it at par when it comes to technology. So, as you could see, the way I have showcased the whole thing, that wasn't possible, let's say, 5 years back. But we have to adapt into new things, or rather, I would say, think and create new platforms. Like in today's world, we have created an software which we own it, and it's called Salt Mine. And that's something which, while building, while you imagine something and while you create something, the whole 3D of the whole space is created simultaneously. On the other hand, the costing side of it, or how is it, what does it match to your anticipated budget, or how with a change of material, let's say you've got a hard flooring overall, and you suddenly on live on the software you change it to, let's say, soft flooring. So the fluctuation in terms of costing of that whole project also changes. Not only that, it has got its own library where you can pick and drop and choose and do the changes faster and quicker. So these are things which we have to adapt when it comes to ever changing, because it is quite volatile in terms of market. It always keeps shifting. The way we used to work today has diametrically shifted today. So that is how we have to cope up and keep learning more, keep experimenting, exploring, and evolving again. I would say that's how we keep evolving.
Keeping up with the fast-paced technology, so
Absolutely.
definitely, because every day, as you mentioned, upgrades keep coming in, and then the projects have to be tuned in accordingly. Partha, as a solution provider, what is the transformation or the changes you have seen, the way designers are now using advanced products and systems? How their kind of awareness among them, the way they are using it. What are the changes you have seen over the recent years?
See, I think there is a paradigm shift in the way the designers are conceiving a project. So that's a very big change which has happened, and to keep pace with that, it is always very exciting for us that while we think of certain concepts and certain designs to be translated to products, we see the demand is also moving to next level. So it's a very interesting space to be. So it's a ever exploring. So when I look at lighting from that point of view, I would say that there are few things which we are able to relate very closely, because our brand philosophy is better light, better life. So we are constantly also thinking of how to enhance user experience. And when it comes to user experience as our ultimate goal, then a lot of things which can be a bottleneck can become easy for us to cross over. And that's why, whether it is choice of products, choice of shapes, or any of the interaction which a product need to have by involving the smart or any other technology, all that becomes very acceptable for us. So we have been also not 100% ready, but it's a good change in the thought process. We have been also able to adapt, and we are also continuously moving towards it so that we are able to provide similar experience through lighting, because lighting may be a smaller part of the entire design of interior, but it also plays a very very vital role. So we are constantly evolving on that, and customization is very much acceptable for us.
Correct. So it is a continuously evolving because design and technology both are continuously evolving and the interaction keeps changing. So we'll come back to you on what the consumer demands are shifting. But before that, Partha, what are the trends? You spoke. You gave such a brief description of fantastic description of how the workspace of future might look like. It is already there. People as you have created it. But what are the foreseeable trends, especially after this entire pandemic? What, according to you, could be the top 3 or top 5 trends in commercial spaces that we are going to see?
See, there are good amount of positive changes which are happening in the workspaces, which we have observed, and certainly from architects we have also learned. One of the most important thing which I see is there is a good amount of hybrid systems which are getting evolved. That there is a large space for people to work, and there are good amount of collab space so that they are able to interact. So a hybrid of like the hybrid cars, we have the hybrid interiors, which is so that's one of the very important aspect. Certainly, the sustainability and wellness. These are two most uh, critical aspects which are being considered by all responsible designers. And as product designers or product suppliers, we all always want that we should also provide products as well as technologies which are supporting the similar element of concept of wellness as well as technology. Because when it comes to wellness and sustainability, because uh, products which are suitable for better life, that means giving a better experience, we are working on a lot of products which are creating a human centric lighting. So such kind of products are getting much used
That's right.
there. And when it comes to sustainability, it is by far very very important that not only the final element which is used in the product, but the entire product creation process, whether the pre-treatments and the complete choice of elements has to be sustainable, and the final product has to be sustainable in terms of energy efficiencies as well as overall intelligence in that. So that's how we are looking at it. So I see these are the top 3 things which are really making a difference from the yesteryear's designs.
Architect Das, you had touched upon all these aspects, the multifunctional spaces, wellness, and sustainability in commercial spaces. As a designer, what are the foreseeable trends that you see happening in this space?
So yeah, I would also second and echo to what Partha was mentioning while talking about lighting itself being an integral part. I would totally agree there because uh, creating that whole carcass and the overall shell, bringing in aesthetics, bringing in a lot of look, feel, and environment, creating all of that is great. But yeah, lighting definitely plays a big role in terms of wellness as well. As I was mentioning, that is now the epicenter. Anyone at home, outside, or at workspace, there's a, people are just mobile these days. It's no more like, okay, someone has to sit in a 9 to 5 workspace and then work. I at times work from a cafe, or might be from my living room, or where I'm sitting now is my desk. So it all is very, kind of fungible these days. So what I would want in all scenarios which I've just mentioned is either product or the space, be it light on, or this whole output, whatever we design, well integrated and well equipped for me to enable to think comfortably, to feel safe, and to feel or to work comfortably. I mean, now there's a blurred line between, your living room and a workplace. So it is quite blurring now. So we need, so what we are bringing into picture, and what I as an architect would say, is there's a lot of lifestyle changes which are happening also. So all those aspects, also, how do we adapt those lifestyle changes into a workplace, for example? So it's no more just a mundane space with tables and chairs. Rather, can we create a comfortable corners, or maybe alcoves, or maybe pause points, or maybe spaces where people find their own comfortable spots and work out of there. So there are multitude of choices and spaces for people to operate from. And just also as an example of lighting, what Partha was saying. So if I just take an example of lighting, there's a lot of research and science behind it, because a lighting is just not a light which you switch on. It has got a color temperature. If you are sketching or thinking, it's different. If you are doing number crunching, you need to be really alert. If you're doing something else, the mood, also, and the overall setting also should change. There's glare factor from screens. So how do we think of those aspects? There is stress level also. If the light is too high or the lux levels are too high, the overall, I mean, it should be a soothing environment. So which should be enabling you to do much better or perform much better. I mean, just as an innovation factor, I would say, recently I was thinking, on the work day, on the work desk itself, can there be, let's say, a UV strip of light or something? So once I shift from my desk, and then someone else occupies that desk, before, in that transition, the UV light actually cleanses the whole surface. So can that be something, or maybe something else? But these are just imaginary things which I'm thinking of, which can be the future, where you don't have a office boy coming in traditionally with a wipe of cloth and cleaning the whole table for you. So that's like a era old story. Rather, the whole itself is part of and integrated with technology, which automatically cleanses itself, so that the is safe enough to use it.
That's it. So what architect Das is saying, so with the boundaries between spaces and their uses now blurring, so the technology will also have to keep pace with keep making these transition from one space to another equally comfortable, equally functional, whatever function a person would like to use that space for. So we have a solution provider here. So architect asks, what are the challenges probably when you are using in terms of lighting, probably scalability, third party compatibility? Are there certain challenges when one is looking at advanced products and systems?
In terms of challenges, yeah, I mean, at times, modularity aspect when it comes to, let's say, a series of light coming together. Um, there are, the product itself needs to be, quality controlled, or well dovetailed in terms of technology and aesthetics, again coming together. Because in a lot of times when it comes to customization, or because, see, there are, let's say, 6 kind of products broadly which are there in market. So a design mind always thinks, can we look for something new which can change the whole aura or the environment. When it comes to that kind of product, there's customization which comes into picture, and when customization comes into picture, quality is in challenge. I mean, because it's not there's I have myself been into lighting industry, so I understand a bit of that part and stuff. So the, let's say, the joinery itself, the luminaire itself, assembling it, the die cast for that obviously won't be done for such a small quantum when it comes to customization. So these are aspects which are challenges when it comes to lighting. Also, I mean, today, can we have lighting which actually is smart enough to understand what is outdoors and what is indoors? Because there's a lot of outdoor indoor concept which is into picture. People want to adjust their body clock with the outdoors rather than confined in a closed box. So the lighting should be smart enough that it automatically adjusts itself and gives you a soothing and creates that soothing environment for people to work better. So that's something where I think we face a bit of challenge. But yeah, I mean, I think that's also in progress, and we are looking for better products in those terms as well.
Okay, so one is the customization. If designer wants customization, how do they control the quality? And second is outdoor indoor transition. When a person transitions from outdoor to indoor, so lighting should be should adapt to that so that the person does not feel that instant change. Partha, how is how are you addressing such concerns? The designers' demands, or how designers are looking at new products, advanced products.
See, I think it's a very important aspect which architect Swaviman has just mentioned, because standardization and customization are two different aspects. So, any large manufacturer with a large manufacturing setup would always, from factory point of view, would always like that things are more standardized and less of customization. So that's one aspect from factory manager point of view. But yes, how we are able to cater to is that there is a dedicated team who is constantly being educated and experimented and evolving on the customization. So when it is a integrated part, which is at right in the beginning by design, we are planning for some customization, then we are able to cater to that much better than ad hoc customization. So that's where we are trying to make ourselves much more equipped. And certainly, the second part on how we can mimic what is happening outside versus how artificial light is actually changing accordingly. So that's a very important thing, because in today's life, light is very much like oxygen in the indoors. You have to be there in an artificial light, and outside it might be morning to late evening, and you don't really feel like having any idea about what is happening outside. So that's where HCL lighting, which is human centric lighting, where the sensors are mimicking, and not only the color, the temperature, as well as the lumen intensity of the products, but overall experience of outside ambience versus inside. So from lighting point of view, they mimic the whole scenario, and they create very much similar in the artificial light also. So that's a new technology which is really catching up, and it is also further evolving in terms of how smooth it is mimicking, or how easy it is to operate, and how much you can still override the mimic with respect to your task. Suppose it is the evening time, which is actually outside showing a little lower light, but you are getting into a task which is much more intense task, which needs higher lighting level. So you can override. So such type of smartness and intelligence in the products are being built up, and we are really working towards this to make that experience much more interesting. And I'm sure we would be able to shortly share with Architect Das also about those new initiatives which have been taken. And I fully believe, and in fact, our entire design team believes that it is an era of convergence where design and technology cannot be in isolation. A technology has to support the design, and design has to be also intelligent enough. So it's a convergence, and we are certainly moving towards next level in the same thing.
That's right. So it's not smart now, but it's intelligent products now that we are talking about. And as both our speakers, agree that it's a convergence of design and technology and how people work and live their lives. So and I think it is also a time of collaboration, like we have seen here, the designers and the solution providers collaborating with each other, listening to each other requirements and demands, and then working together to bringing the best intelligent product that can suit the space. So we should continue with these kind of conversations to hear each other's views and opinions, and then bring out the best what Indian industry has to offer. So thanks, Architect Swaviman Das and Mr. Partha Karmakar, for sharing your views and answering those questions. Thank you so much for shedding that light on where the industry is going, where the design sector is going, and how they both are converging to bring in the best spaces for people to use. And as Architect Das rightly said, so, sustainability, wellness, they are the buzzwords, and that is what design and technology is now aiming at. So thank you for those some very valuable takeaway from today's sessions. Special thanks to Havells India for presenting this knowledge sharing session for the benefit of the Indian design fraternity, and to our awesome audience as well for being here, sharing their time and sending in their queries. Thank you all once again. Thanks, Architect Swaviman Das. Thanks, Mr. Partha Karmakar, for being here with us, sharing your valuable time. Thank you. Till we meet again, take care and goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Architect Swaminathan Das also. Thank you again once again.
Thank you, Partha.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sapna.
Thank you. Have a great day.